Right now, in March 2026, there is a war brewing in the Middle East. Oil prices are going haywire, the Federal Reserve is under political attack, and America's debt is spiraling out of control. And while everyone is distracted by the headlines, something much bigger is happening quietly in the background. The US dollar is losing its grip on the world, and most people have absolutely no idea. For over 80 years, the US dollar has been the world's reserve currency, the backbone of global trade, oil markets, and international finance. But in 2026, that dominance is cracking from multiple directions simultaneously. Today, we break down exactly what is happening, why it matters to your wallet, and what is quietly being built to replace it. Let's start with what's happening right now. The U.S. military conflict with Iran has sent shockwaves through global energy markets. Oil prices surged to their highest level since 2022 and are showing no signs of cooling down. The Federal Reserve was just days away from deciding on interest rates, and now everything has changed. Here's what most people don't understand. Every time there's a major conflict in the Middle East, the world is reminded of one terrifying truth. Global energy is still priced in US dollars, and when that system gets disrupted, the entire financial world holds its breath. But here's the twist. More and more countries are actively working to change that reality. Here's something fascinating happening right now that perfectly shows the dollar's contradictions. On one hand, the dollar index just climbed to its highest level since mid-2025. Investors are rushing into dollars as a safe haven because of the Middle East war. Sounds strong, right? But zoom out and the picture looks very different. Earlier this year, the dollar dropped nearly 2% in a single week. Not because of bad economic data, but because investors lost confidence in U.S. policy decisions. Analysts are now openly saying the dollar remains significantly overvalued and faces further declines as its interest rate advantage narrows. The dollar is simultaneously a safe haven and a currency under serious long-term threat. That contradiction is exactly what makes this moment so critical. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, America's debt. GDP growth was just revised sharply lower to only 0.7% in the last quarter, half of what was originally estimated. Meanwhile, the national debt keeps climbing with no plan to stop it. Analysts project the U.S. deficit growing by over $1 trillion more than previously forecast over the next decade. And inflation, which the Federal Reserve has been desperately fighting, is not expected to fully come under control until the end of this decade. That means years more of your money buying less, years more of financial pressure on ordinary people, while the people at the top quietly move their wealth into other assets. Here's where the long-term picture gets really alarming. The dollar's share of global currency reserves has already fallen to under 57%, and that number keeps dropping. Foreign ownership of U.S. Treasury bonds has been falling for 15 years straight. Countries are diversifying away from the dollar, quietly, steadily, deliberately. China's dollarization rate has been falling consistently since 2017, right when U.S.-China tensions escalated. China, Russia, and other major economies have been buying gold at the fastest pace in decades. They are building the infrastructure for a world where the dollar is just one option, not the option. And then there's the wild card that could change everything: digital dollar stablecoins. The Trump administration has made the regulation and expansion of stablecoins a major policy priority in 2026. These are digital currencies pegged to the US dollar that can be transferred instantly anywhere in the world, bypassing traditional banking systems entirely. Here's the irony. This could either save the dollar's dominance by extending it into the digital world or accelerate the creation of competing digital currencies by other nations. China already has its digital yuan. The race for digital currency supremacy is happening right now, and most people are completely unaware. So what does all of this mean for you personally? If you hold savings in dollars, understand that the purchasing power of that money faces real long-term risk. If energy prices stay elevated because of Middle East conflict, your gas, your groceries, your electricity bills all go up. The Federal Reserve is stuck. Cut rates and inflation surges, hold rates, and the economy stalls. Either way, ordinary people feel the pain. The people who understand these shifts early, who educate themselves, diversify their thinking, and pay attention to what's really happening, are the ones who come out the other side stronger. That's why you're here, and that's why this channel exists. The dollar isn't collapsing tomorrow, but the quiet, steady shift happening in March 2026, the war, the debt, the loss of confidence, the rise of alternatives, these are not isolated events. They are connected. They are accelerating. And the window to understand this before it affects your life is right now. If this video opened your eyes, smash that like button, subscribe for weekly breakdowns on what's really happening in our world, and tell me in the comments, do you still trust the dollar? I read every single one. See you in the next video.